This is a tutorial for my Fisherman themed stage pop-up card with slider element. Yeah, I couldn't figure out what to call it, so that's what we're calling it. So I'm going to need some black embroidery floss. I'm going to start with the card base. I've printed it up on cardstock and I'm doubling it up just to make it sturdy. I'm putting glue on the printed panel and adhering it to the plain panel, and you just want to be sure that the holes are on top of one another. This hole is in the file. I just cut out the wrong base. So I've inserted my brad in my piece of acetate and one of my pull tabs. This pull tab is made out of watercolor paper. You need something sturdy for this. I chose watercolor paper, but you could also cut it out of craft board. So we're just going to put the brad through the bottom acetate hole and then through card base. I'm going to flip it over and take my second piece that's formed like a V, but out of heavy cardstock, and put it in the lower hole with the upper hole towards my right hand side. I'm going to open the brad. Next, I'm just going to grab my last piece for the mechanism and put my brad through. So my brads are all in position now. So I have this one rectangle made out of paper, and I'm just going to loosely fit it around. So I'm just gluing this piece to itself. So just put a little bit of glue on the bottom and position my pull tab in the center of the little opening for it. Make sure there's no glue on any part of this except between this piece and the base of the card. And that still has pretty good movement. Now what we're going to do is just put a little tiny bit of glue between these two pull tabs so that when you're pulling them, they always stay together. So just on the tip. You don't want to go any further than just that little rounded part of the pull tab. So those are stuck together. So I've cut out two pieces of the fish and I'm going to adhere them back to back. So I'm going to put a little bit of red line tape and I'm going to adhere one end of my embroidery floss to the red line tape. So I've threaded my embroidery floss through the hole at the top, and I have to put my acetate to its lowest position. I just want to be absolutely sure it's covered by that. It is. Okay, it needs to be covered by the upper layer here. On the back of the card, I'm just putting a little bit of red line tape on the top. So I want to make sure it's in a resting position, so it's as far down as it will go. And then I'm going to put my embroidery floss over that. So this moves this way, and this moves in the opposite direction. So it's actually pulling the string. Just put glue on this little circle and adhere it to the back. And then just snip the string. So that's our mechanism. Now we have to adhere the fish. And then we need to put this piece. You don't want it interfering with the mechanism at all. I'm going to avoid this little section in the mechanism. I'm going to put a little thin foam tape layer all along the edge here, all the way to approximately here, and then past here, and almost up to that end. So my foam tape is very, very thin foam tape. It's not very thick. So I'm going to be adding 2 layers of it. I don't want anything interfering with the mechanism. So 2 layers of foam tape. And then we're going to place our dock so that this pointed edge is just in the corner. And our fisherman. So you're just going to be adhering the bottom of his legs to the panel that pops up. So he's only on the 2nd layer now. You want to make sure that the tip of the fishing rod is pretty much in front of the hole, and that his body, oops, it's a lot of glue, that his body is in the right position to cover that hole. And then I'm going to place his faithful companion beside him. This would be my dog Casey. So that's the cover of the card. Next we're going to do the pop-up stage. I've already cut my adhesive vinyl and I've put it on the shadow layer. So these panels are the same width as the card, but they're a little bit short on purpose. I didn't want them interfering with the folding of the card. Just put adhesive on the panel, and you want to glue it to the upper panel, the very top of the panel. And the same with the bottom. You want to put adhesive on the back. You want to stick this, the sides are flush and the bottom is flush, but there's room in the center for folding of the card. And next we're going to take our stage piece. So just pull down on all the score lines, and then grab your printed piece and place it on top. So just put glue on the back of the panel and just match up the holes. I'm going to use some red line tape only because I'm using this shiny material. Back. And what I need to do, I need to adhere the cut edge of this panel to the fold line of my card, like so. So what I'm going to do is put glue on my panel. And then I'm going to position this so that it's against the fold line of my card, like so. So now I'm just going to thread my pop-up tabs through that panel, and then I've folded all these score lines at a time to make this a little bit easier on myself. Once I have all my tabs in, I'm just putting red line tape on the part that's just below the score line. So for all 7 of them. So next we're going to do the placement of these tabs. So they're already threaded through, and I have to put them at the right distance. So I made myself a little template, and they all have to be from the score line to the hole. They have to be exactly this height. Now this is just the height of, this is just the rise of the stage itself. So put these as straight as possible. They're at the proper height. I'm just using this as a guide and making sure that from the score line to the hole, it's the exact distance. Just realized that using this technique won't work for 2 of these. Okay, so they're all at the right distance. I'm just triple checking. I'm going to take the liner off all of them except these two, and there's a reason for it. So I'll show you in a minute why. Make sure they're nice and straight and all in position. The only ones that really aren't are the two top. So then we're just going to fold our base over and press down so that red line tape sticks. The reason why I haven't done these two is because, if you can see, these two, once this is folded over, I'm going to land on the part that folds over. So we're just going to leave these two as they are for now. And I'm going to put a piece of red line tape on the edge of that piece. So I'm just going to take the liner off the red line tape and close my card. And I pop it up. That's at a nice 90-degree angle. My only issue are the two front ones. I'm going to remove the tape, this front one, and then very carefully see if I can slide it through. And then place it at a 90-degree angle. It's not perfect, but it'll do. Next, we're going to glue our images. We're just adhering our images to the little posts that are sticking up. Next, I'm just going to glue on my backdrop. And then I'm just going to put my sentiment there. So my final stage is to put foam tape on the backing, lay it onto an extra layer, and this goes into the front of my card. I'm just using foam tape on the perimeter, being very careful to avoid any sections where it might interfere with the mechanism.